So right now I have my plan with its hatches ready. There's one more thing that I need to do with the hatches layer before I start working with the rest of my drawings. You can see that the hatch layer is on top of my plan. I'm just going to do a little trick right here. I'm going to change the blend of this layer from normal to multiply. That's because if I have anything that is mistakenly on top of the line, then it will be transparent. So you can still see the line from behind the hatch layer. Next is I'm going to start introducing my floors. So I'm going to put the floor layers. So I will have to start a new layer and call it floor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on W on my keyboard, or I can choose the magic wand tool, and I'm going to press right here inside this. I'm going to activate the layer first. I'm going to deselect everything. I'm going to go to the plan layer, and I will press right here where all the floors were selected. So now I'm going to start unselecting or deselecting parts of it. So I'm going to click on this marquee tool, hit my Alt key, and start deselecting the parts that I don't want to be included in my living room floor. So I'm just going to deselect these parts. It's a pretty long process, but that's because I have my dashed lines as dashed lines rather than solid lines. And that's what has created this confusion to Photoshop. I have to be really careful here. So I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit and deselect this part right here. I'm gonna reselect this part a little more. Okay, so right now this should be, I have to deselect this part as well. So to deselect, I have to press on Alt. If I want to add to the selection, then I press on my Shift. Let me just deselect this part. Oh, sorry. Unselect this part, not selected. Okay, so it looks like now my floor is pretty good. Now I'm going to open another document that I have prepared for the floors or the pattern that I want to add as floors. So I'm going to open the file. I have saved as a picture, JPG. So I'm just gonna right click on it and choose open with Photoshop. So I have this little pattern. It's probably not a rug or a fabric, but I'm gonna have to look at, it's in a separate document. It opens on a separate document. So I'm gonna have to have a look at how it's gonna look like if this was a pattern. So I'm gonna go to view, and I'm gonna look at it as pattern preview and have a look at how it looks. Doesn't really look pleasant, so I'm gonna have to look for another picture. Meanwhile, I'm gonna look for the tiles. So I can choose this to be, say, wood flooring maybe. So I have a picture of wood. I'm gonna open it again with Photoshop. So I'm gonna right click on the file, and I will open it with Photoshop 2022. Now, again, it opens on a separate drawing. It looks like it's a good picture. Now, what we're looking for is a picture of the material from right on top of it, or a horizontal look. So we don't want it to be at an angle or shifted. I'm going to slightly edit this by cropping, C for crop. Alternatively, I can, of course, choose this icon, and I'm going to crop these sides that I don't want to appear in my drawing. Once I'm done, I'll hit the enter button, and you can see that the picture is cropped. I can now have a look at it from the view menu, and then have a look at it as a pattern by preview pattern. This looks pretty good to me. So once I'm done, I'm going to go back to view again and untick the pattern preview option. Next is I'm going to go to edit, and I'm going to define my pattern. I'm going to call this wood floor or wood flooring. Okay, and I'm going to click on OK. Now, nothing changed in my document, but once I go back to my original document where I'm placing my pattern and rendering my plan, if I press on this little icon at the bottom that has the circle, half black and half white circle, and choose patterns, I should find the pattern in this menu. So if I choose the drop-down menu, you can see all the patterns I have right here. And this is the pattern I have just introduced right now. Once I'm done, I will click on OK. So my floor is now ready. I'm going to go next to the window floor, to the bathroom floor and start placing it. Again, so this can be here. I can rename this to the living room floor. I'm going to do the same for the bathroom. So I have a picture of the bathroom tiles right here. So I'm going to open the file with Photoshop. Once I'm happy with it, I'll do the same thing. I'll go to edit and then define my pattern. I've already done that. So I'm going to go ahead and select my drawing. I'm going to go to my plan, select the using W or magic wand tool. And now again, I have to deselect using the marquee tool and my Alt key, deselect all the areas that I want to exclude from my selection. And I'm going to get closer here to make sure that I don't select something that is not a part of what I want to be selected. I believe this is good. So now I'm going to start another layer, another adjustment layer, and choose pattern and choose the pattern that I want to introduce as the floor tiles. Once I'm done, I'll click on OK, take it again to the top, double click on it and call it bathroom tiles. I'm going to continue working. The next part is also pretty much the same. So again, I'm going to deselect from the marquee tool, start drawing the rectangles and excluding the parts that I want to exclude from my selection. Now, right now, I want this to be the same material. And we should be okay, I believe. Once we're done, once again, pattern, choose the pattern I want and call this bring it up. Maybe merge them together if you want, or they could have been a single space together or in a single layer. So this is how we add our floors. In the next tutorial, we'll talk about how we add our shade and shadows to the plan to make it look a bit more deep or to highlight the depth of the plan.